How do they do it? Why do they do it? Riding and crashing and winning and always faster and faster and faster.
Well, welcome back everybody to With Antone MotoGP 2025. So it's season break time, and like I said last week, and again thanks to everybody who watched last week in the comments, really appreciate it. We're going to look at a couple of the bigger topics during the season break and see if we can get a little bit more information. Start off with a little bit of news and rumours. I guess the only real news that's happening at the moment is in around what Yamaha are doing with their riders. Now, we've discussed this. The latest thing I've heard is that Prima, the sponsor, the big Italian insurance company, of course, they work with Pramac on the Yamaha team. They're really pushing to have an Italian flavour on that team. Now, this is lining up that their target might be Bastianini. So I don't know where that's going. You've got Toprak signed. You've got Rins, you've got Oliveira, you've got Miller. So three spots into one doesn't really go. So we'll see what happens. My tip, Miller to the Monster team, and they can please themselves if they want to bring Bastianini in. Okay, the other news, Moto3, the changes coming up with Moto3. They're moving to a twin cylinder 500cc in the new category. For 27. Yamaha have just said they'll be open to putting their forward to supply as the engine supplier. And of course, we've got Suzuka coming this weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. So what I want to focus on this week's episode with Antone MotoGP 2025, I want to look at Liberty Media. Now, big change, as you know, Liberty Media, they gained control over MotoGP and the World Superbikes on the 3rd of July this year, 2025. So they acquired 84% of Dorna. Now, Dorna have been running MotoGP for some time, ever since they had the big change back over Bridgepoint and the change of management. So it's been quite a period of time, and Dorna have done a great job over that period. But I thought during the season break, it might be nice to stop and see what Liberty Media might try to do with MotoGP, and I've broken this up into a couple of categories. So the first one I think we're really going to see is a big change in the digital approach. So what can be used and what can't be used on social media. I think we're going to see a change and more of a relaxing of copyright. At the moment it's really difficult to use MotoGP race coverage, places like YouTube and so forth, very hard to use. So I'm thinking, if you look at what they did with Formula One, I think that will be one of the ones to do it. And of course, about the Netflix Drive to Survive. I think to start to profile on the digital platforms each individual rider will really make a big difference. The second area, I think, and we've already started to see this actually, is in the calendar and the structure of what markets they take MotoGP races to. Now, some of the key locations are going to need to be looked at. And I think if you start to look at the 2026 calendar, which just came out, you'll see that there's been a couple of changes. Brazil, South American market is back on. Even though Argentina's off next year, it's for Buenos Aires for 27. And I think that you're going to see a change. So next year on the 20th of March, we're going to Brazil. And you can see if you look at the entire calendar, 8 rounds are now outside of Europe. And I think this is going to continue. And I think the markets of where the races are will become quite competitive as the various locations start to bid for the races to be held in their country or in their region. Okay, so the third area I think that Liberty Media are going to focus on for MotoGP is in around budgets. And in around budgets comes the team power. Now, we've already seen this manufacturers alliance with the MSMA going to Dorna just in and around the Bruno round. And there's been a chat and talk about this Concord agreement. Now, that's the name from Formula One. But what it basically means is the manufacturers want a greater say in revenue. So at present, Dorna owns the grid spots. Now, the teams are seeking to own those grid spots. And I think in the future, with outside investment coming in, and we've seen this with Tech 3, what's happening there with the possible investment, Gunter Steiner, we've talked about that. So that's, I think, the third area that budgets will really, really start to come into play. The fourth area I think that they'll look at is the formats. So at the moment, on the weekend, we have a pretty structured format. There's a lot of Friday on that first qualifying session. Do you make the top 10? Do you not make the top 10? It's a vitally important session. What will they do with qualifying? How will it change around? And what's going to happen with Moto 2 and Moto 3? So will Liberty look to make a change? And what about the sprints? Now, at the moment, they're not even classified as a GP. Are they going to maybe look at what can be done with World Superbike? Is there an option there? But the last I want to tie into is this idea of promoting the best. So what is the best? The best racing, the best class in terms of what is really what Liberty have bought is MotoGP. So how do they position that across the 3-day weekend? Now, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is that the same structure they're going to keep? Will they look at trying to change the weight around, and will they look at screening broadcast times? And what will that effect have on the smaller classes? So we'll see exactly where that goes. So for me, what does the future hold? I think it holds an exciting time for MotoGP. Some of the things that they might like to try to do is this engine and chassis change. So can we just see someone that can make a rolling chassis ready to come in? Maybe that is something like we talked about MV Augusta. Maybe this is something that BMW would be attracted to. And of course, if we're talking about making it more feasible for entry points, we're talking about this allocation and how much money goes back to each team. So what about making it more cost effective to enter? Now, would that reopen an opportunity for maybe someone like a Suzuki to return? And what about the grid size? Is that something they want to do? And of course, there's concessions. Anyway, there's a few ideas. I don't know what you think about what Liberty are bringing, but I wanted to summarize that this weekend in the season break. And of course, let's look forward to what Yamaha decisions. Drop it down in the comments if you want to have a specific topic looked at during the season break. And of course, I welcome your thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and I'd love a subscription. Okay then, thanks for this week, and we'll see you soon.